And starting in December, participation in the draft will be automatic, meaning that if you're between 18 to 24 in America and you're male, you'll be automatically put into the draft system.
From when?
I think from December.
This year?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
So between the age of 18 and 25, you think, and what does that really mean? Well, I've not really experienced that in my lifetime. So it means that if you're between the age of 18 and 24, either gender?
No, male.
Male, then you have to sign up for the army.
No, you already put into a draft.
Oh, you already, okay, but you might be called upon.
That's right.
President Trump has ordered the Pentagon, the Selective Service, to put out bids and has given them 3 weeks for AI companies, big tech, to have a plan to implement the draft. Yes, it's the law. You're a man. When you get 16 to get a driver's license, you're supposed to register for it. But now it's for everybody, and you cannot opt out of it. And they have it set now to basically implement the draft and then have you called up with your draft number. And they're going to say oh, well, we're not sure we're going to do it, but we're going to have it primed and ready. But have you already drafted and ready to be called up off your smartphone? And you saw the neocon that Israel installed in Kentucky. We played his speeches a few months ago, where he said, sure, we can call it the draft basically any time, but we need to go ahead and implement the draft now and have everybody through basic training and then be on standby, because we've got to have a full war in the Middle East.
If you figure, we got to start selective service, we got to get them through all the in-processing, boot camp, trainings, you're talking months downstream. Do we really have that time anymore?
No.
Is that a deeply flawed concept? And so what would really happen if we had to go from what I call a cold start of a pending, world war? How fast and what would really happen if we had to re-implement selective service, i.e. the draft, train, equip, and prepare to deploy those forces? I'm not sure we have that kind of time anymore.
And it's going to take at least 500,000 troops. And we have Mark Levin, who was the mouthpiece of Netanyahu and Trump's brain. We have a clip of him saying that Trump sent in 400,000 troops into Iraq, and that it took 40-something minutes, and that Iran will take 50-something minutes.
The Iranians have been at war with us for over 4 decades. But if we wanted to go to war, we know how to go to war. George W. Bush showed us. You send 400,000 troops in, and you defeat Iraq in about 43 minutes. We can do the same with Iran. Maybe it'd take 54 minutes.
Trump last year got legislation passed to make the selective service mandatory. Right. They ignored the Pentagon.
What we're trying to do is just get a few cities to fall in the next month, get the Arabs more openly involved tomorrow or by the end of the week, and just have almost irreversible momentum.
So we're about to have a national draft implemented for total war and expansion of the new world war we're in a proxy war with Russia, China, through Ukraine and Iran. And now it's not just the Ukrainians as a proxy for NATO and the U.S. Now the U.S. is a proxy for Israel, for the Greater Israel Project. So I don't think anybody can deny Trump's going to get us all killed. And he's been totally erratic and half-baked on this whole thing. And the mullahs didn't fall. And so the next move, as I've warned and Joe Kent's warned, will be to escalate.
All right, we're here. Welcome to the show. It is, man, what a night. It's August 22nd, 2026. Thank you for being here. Do a little sound check. I don't hear myself. I hope that we're coming in clear here. We're going to check it because we're having technical difficulties here. So we're just going to check it real quick and see where we're at because yeah, it's I definitely got to fix that. All right, so thank you for being here. It's August 22nd, 2026, and hell of a show. I hope that you had an opportunity to check out last night's show because last night was definitely storm burner, definitely a barn burner. I mean, we've laid a bunch of stuff out. We're gonna have more on that next week. He's gonna come back on Saturday after he releases his next episode of the Charlie Kirk 322. So you want to make sure you have an opportunity to check that. And I want to apologize right now for the sound being off, because it sounds like the video sound is super high, and my sound is, where it normally is at. I'll apologize for that now, because what's going on is I have spilt on my soundboard. So I have a new one ordered. It's not in yet. So we're going to do the best we can with what we got. God bless you all. Let's get into it. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about the war. We're talking about Russia, Iran, China, Korea, Ukraine. I mean, Pakistan. I mean, all of them. All of them are involved now. I mean, it's crazy. It's like when you say no new wars, I don't know what you really meant, Trump, when you said no new wars. Did you really mean no new wars in 2035 after we blow each other up and there's nothing left? I don't know what that means, because we are in all of these conflicts right now, and it is wild. I mean, it really is. And we were warned about this. We've been warned for years, but we were warned about it from as simple as Charlie Kirk talking about it before he was assassinated, about what this conflict would turn into if we got into a conflict with Iran, how it would escalate and what it would turn into, and how so many people will be getting involved in this, because it's this country's going to protect that country, and back and forth, and we're going to give these people weapons, and then they're going to get pissed off, so they're going to attack those people. And it's just it's like two rats on a wheel. It's crazy. And so we have a bunch of that tonight. We're going to get into. We're going to talk about flock cameras, of course, a little bit about Charlie Kirk. I want to put a pin in the stuff that we've talked about, and just remind you of the lies that you're being told are exactly that, with all these influencers, we'll call them, and how they are telling you whatever brings them a paycheck. That's what it sounds like. And I allegedly, we'll say, I don't know for sure. I know that we talked about it last night, and we talked about a lot, actually, in the couple hours that we were on air. One of the things that because I went back and I was kind of like reminiscing about the things that we talked about. One of the things that he said was Charlie Kirk had basically fronted the administration off, or the deep state, or the military complex, or the whoever they are at the current level that they are around the war, and around talking about how the conflict that they're getting themselves into, we shouldn't do it, and why, and Charlie Kirk was talking about stuff like we lied to them, we lied to these people, and why wouldn't they want to have a nuclear weapon, considering we lied to everybody that we said we will take care of you, and we didn't, and all that stuff. And it's just crazy to think that here we are 25 years later, 30 years later, 35 years later, and it's still the same thing. We have the deep state and the we want to call it the corporation, I guess we could technically call it, because regardless if it's a deep state or an administration or a party, because it's all the same. At the end of the day, all these people operate in the same bowl of mush. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, independent, all those titles don't really mean nothing at the end of the day, because we found that out in 2025 and 2026. If we didn't know it any other time in the history of the United States, we know it now, because of how this has went down. And when you think about it, some of the things that we seen in the first 6 months was like, get them. I mean, and there are some things, there are some, hey, there are a few things that are pretty good if they follow through. I mean, like, giving rights back to nonviolent felons. That is all right. That's great, because you should have never took anybody's gun rights in the first place for a crime that was a misdemeanor or not a violent felony. I totally get behind, somebody that commits murder, or super violent, maybe that their constitutional rights should be, they might have to, wait a period of time before they get their rights restored because of their violent background. And, that I can get behind that. But taking anybody's gun rights for any reason, when they get caught up in the court of law, it's just wrong. So anyway, they are working on that, and it's the portal's supposed to open up on September 17th. So that'd be good. 30 million Americans can get their gun rights back, and it should be that way. They should have never lost their gun rights. Anyway, there are some good things going on. There are a few, but the bad right now outweighs the good by so much. I mean, it really does at this point. I mean, when Trump comes out and says, I don't care about, your economy or Social Security or health care or what's it called? Federal help because they have these programs for lower income families that can't afford daycare. And so they subsidize it for, the government subsidizes the health care or the child care so that people can go to work so they can be successful. And they've done that forever. And I know it's at the state, but it's governed by the federal government. And he basically is talking about cutting all that out because he has to buy more bombs so he can fight Iran and all that stuff. So it's a lot of things that people don't really see, don't really know unless you're reading and digging in. I mean, I'm in California, so I get the worst of the worst. I see all the stupid shit starts right here, and then they attempt to put it out to the rest of the country. And a lot of times it doesn't fly in Texas or, Oklahoma or whatever, but in California, they have us pinned down for sure. So is it getting better? I don't know. But anyway, let's get into this. That's enough of me just going on and on about nothing. So, I know it's something, but it's nothing. At the end of the day. So I'm going to turn this over to you right now in a minute, John. Okay. Just let me get my shit together here and get my head on straight. And then I'll turn it over to you, and then you can roll it. Okay. All right. So where do we want to start? I think we want to start with Andy just to get started. And then we're going to get into this, Iran, Putin, nuclear war. They're talking about having these, they're having special behind the curtain meetings with the Joint Chief of Staff and all that stuff about using nuclear weapons and all this. It's crazy, the stuff that you find out, and you're just like, I thought we were getting out of war and we wasn't going to blow people up, but here we are. So anyway, stand by.
We all have to face a reality. And the reality that we have to face is that our way of life is in jeopardy. The things you love about this country, the luxuries that you've enjoyed, the privileges you've enjoyed by being an American citizen, the culture, the history, it's all in jeopardy for all of us. When we look around at what's going on,
boys have a penis, girls have a vagina,
and we see the division, and we see the hate, and we see the chaos, and we see the destruction. They've trained us to look at each other and blame each other for all of that. The reality of the situation is these people intentionally cause those situations because they understand something that we do not. They understand that united we stand and divided we fall.
You are in a state of war.
We have a threat that is very real to our freedoms, to our economy, to the future, not just our future, your children's future. And they are not a part of the we. They say they are, they may pretend to be, But if you watch their actions, it's very clear that they're not. So when we say we, the people, realize that doesn't include these corrupt politicians. That doesn't include the media.
Extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It doesn't include the social media companies. They are not a part of we. We are a part of we. That's you, and that's me, and that's all of us. And the biggest lie that they have convinced us of is that we are the enemy of each other. United we stand, divided we fall. If there was ever a time in history that statement is appropriate, it's right now. And all of us have the ability to affect the course that our country is going to go on from here. This is our time. This is our duty. And if we fail, we don't just fail ourselves. We fail America.
Yeah, and that means a lot should mean a lot to everybody. Really, the things that he talks about in that is really we need to come together, and we talked about it last night in depth. And if you haven't had a chance to watch episode 279, you should go back and just check it out, because we need to be coming together. And we need to be working together as Americans, not as left and right paradigm or all that stuff. Like, obviously, if you have to have some kind of discernment around it, but like we should be working together as Americans to make America a better place for our children. Period. We should be doing that. And when you think about politicians and how they talk a good game, because that's what they do, they talk about all the great stuff that they're going to do, but at the end of the day, they don't do anything to support America. All that they care about is themselves. And that has been one of my biggest problems the whole time, this whole time with me and what's going on in government today. It's like, it's just sad. It's just sad. That's the truth. It's very chilling for me, because I know that we can be a great country, and we have been for many years until the last 10 years. I'm doing something while I'm talking to you, because I have to get this set up for him so he can operate this, because the way I have it messed up, as messed up as I have it right now, I was working on the soundboard attempting to fix it and, get it to where it sounded right and all that stuff. It's just horrible. Anyway, I'm doing 4 things at once. So anyway, at the end of the day, what we have is we have corrupt politicians controlling everything we do, and they take their marching orders from people that are above them that take their orders from the people that are above them, usually the ones with the money. And then the ones with the money are taking marching orders from the people that have the money above them. And it's like this nonstop corrupt, money embezzling mafia of people that control the world. It's not even just the United States. It's everywhere. It's like this everywhere. And I had no idea. I did not know this. So I'm grateful for the discernment that I've received from doing the investigative work that I've done to find out the things that I now know that I didn't know. Right. And so I hope that what I do here, that I can, give it to you, that you can find out the things that I know, that I've learned, and really take it in and take the stuff that works in your brain. Because listen, some people can't handle it. Some people can't handle some of the stuff that we talk about. And I totally can respect that. There was a time that when I was getting this information, I literally had to really just stop for like a while. I think it was like a week, and just stop and pray and figure out if this is the direction that I wanted to go, because I was seeing stuff that I never really seen before in my life, and I couldn't understand it. And I've been in some tough situations in my life, but I just couldn't grasp what was being fed to us. And then once I was able to, look at it and dissect what was going on, then I was able to go, okay, so I have a choice right now. I can either accept the fact that this is the way it is, and I need to be a voice of reason to do my best to change what's going on in our communities and in our world, or I need to go back and put my head back in the sand and just forget all about it and just be like the people that just punch a clock and just do whatever they're told. And when they say wear a mask, they just act like seals and do it. Or I need to be part of the resistance, and I became part of the resistance at that point when I realized that I had to do something, not for me. I mean, I've lived my life. If my day was over today, I would be okay. But what I leave behind is my children and my wife, and my children, right? Mainly the children, because my wife and I, we've lived our life, we've raised kids, we've done this thing, but our children, they have their whole lives ahead of them. We want to leave them with something where the grass is green. We don't want the grass to be dead. And that's what they're trying to do to us. They're trying to kill us off and kill our grass at the same time. So anyway, okay. Let me run this ad real quick. Stand by for just a second. Let me see. A couple things. I realized this last night when I was running the ad. Well, let me just run this masterpiece ad so I can check this ad out right here while I do this. Description or to my website. Website's on the screen. Go to the My Masterpiece. Just check it out. It's My Masterpiece. The Get Masterpiece. You use the link in the description. You get 10% off right away, and it's less than $1 a day. Less than $1 a day. And let me just tell you about it. All the metals, all the chemicals, the fluoride, the atrazine in the water, takes it all out of your system. The brainwashing that has happened from the food that you eat. If you don't know about that, we're going to get into some of the mind control later on tonight. We're gonna break that down tonight as well. This stuff works. I started it a few months ago. My face used to be really, really bad pigmented, and it's gotten way better. And this is zeolite, but this is not the kind of zeolite that you get on Amazon. Okay, this is tested. Go to the website, read the studies. All the studies show that it's 98, 95% effective, blah, 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 all this stuff. I'm not a scientist or a chemist or any of that stuff, but it works. After 2 weeks of taking this, might have been less than that, but I'll just say, to be safe, 2 weeks of taking this zeolite, this masterpiece, I started having vivid dreams. And if you're connected to dreams and you know what dreams are about, it's a higher being of maybe spiritual or mind function to spiritual realms and stuff like that when you dream. Okay. So my dreams came back in 2 weeks and it's been a blast. It really has. And I feel healthier than I ever have. And I'm 60. Okay. And most people are like, you're what? You're how old are you? I take care of myself. I used to be fat as hell. And also, you might want to check out the next one down below that on the description or on the website, and check out water support. We have Alexa Pro water filters, canisters. They're gravity fed. Right now, you probably need it more than any other time. Restorable food, all that stuff. They have payment plans. You can go on there and you can buy food and supplies and water filters and all that stuff. And they put you on like a 6 month or 4 month payment plan. So you don't have to come out of pocket with $1,000 right away. You could break it up over a bunch of payments. They work really well with us. We want everybody to be safe. We want our kids to be safe. And along with ammunition and all that stuff that you should be thinking about. And being prepared for that, you want to make sure that you're drinking water that's safe. And, with what I just told you a minute ago with Iran talking about hitting the United States with missiles, I don't know. Maybe we want to get a little bit prepared, maybe you need to buy a bugging guide and get prepared for what's coming. Anyway, what are we doing tonight? All right. Let me get my shit together here. All right. So anyway, yeah, go to the website, go to the description, check out the the store, see what we got. Please buy some products, subscribe to the channel, share the information, push it out. We ask that you would share this information with somebody and hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment, 6 words or more, so that the algorithms could work. We really are working on YouTube. I mean, although last week we talked about last night, I had like I think it was 16 videos taken down. They didn't give me a strike, but they took them down. And I was like, I wonder why they did that. So I went back to the videos in my system, and they all had Alex Jones in them. So YouTube's now kicking anything back that Alex Jones is in a video. So that's kind of interesting. So just, it's good to know that that's where they're at. I mean, that's where they're going to go. So anyway, yeah. So that's where we're at. I lost I had a TikTok that was doing really well. I had a bunch of viral stuff on it and everything, but I would post stuff from the show, and then I would post like different types of memes and different things on there, and there were usually funny clips of like Alex Jones going crazy on his show, and they I'd get 4 or 5 of them on there, and then they go nuke, 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 and then they give me a strike for each one of them, and they just took the channel from me, and it was doing really well. I don't really mess with TikTok too much. We do put some stuff on there, but not much, a little bit. Anyway, we're on Rumble, Getter, Twitter, or X. We're on Twitch and Kick, and where else are we at? We're on YouTube. Yeah. So anyway, check us out, subscribe to the channel, be friendly to us, and subscribe to the channel and share the information. All right, cool. All right, we're back. Let's get these things turned back on so people know who it is and where I'm going. And then let me jump in here. And Charlie Kirk was talking about nuclear weapons early on. He really was the voice of reason during the time that before they did Midnight Hammer. Charlie Kirk was the voice of reason. I didn't know that much about Charlie Kirk. I knew that he did great work with the kids in the colleges and all that stuff. And I knew that he was, very, very much a Christian and all that stuff, but I didn't follow his stuff. As far as watching a bunch of clips and stuff, every now and then he'd say something interesting, so I'd post it or whatever. But for the most part, I wasn't really a Charlie Kirk follower. But the point is, some of the things that he was saying, when you dig into what he was saying, was very important, because he was trying to get Trump to get back away from Iran. And he thought that he had him to pull away. When they did Midnight Hammer, he even said, okay, if that is it and that's all we're going to do, great. But if we have any more conflict, if we get into a conflict with Iran, it's not going to go well. And he kept saying that in a bunch of different clips. And he was telling Trump that he was a advisor to Trump. He had military clearance with, and all that stuff, which we talked about last night. And if you don't know about all that stuff, you probably want to go check out that show from last night. Anyway, all right. So it was only a couple hours. It wasn't like a 3-hour long 3-hour show. So just a couple hours with Ty Norman, really smart, investigative journalist. So check him out. Check out the show. Let's get into this. Stand by.
If the people of Iran want to have a bottom-up revolution and Persia wants to be Persian again, great, fine. But Iran is holding on to their nuclear weapon because they've looked at Iraq and Libya. They say, oh, really? You must be a sucker to want to give up your weapons of mass destruction. Look at Libya. You give up your program voluntarily. You go get sodomized because we lied to Gaddafi. We told Gaddafi, you give up your nuclear weapons and we're going to be fine. Oh, instead, it's oh, you give up your nuclear weapons and you're going to go get sodomized. Secondly, it's one of the few rallying cries that Iran has to maintain legitimacy. This is from Sean Davis. When the U.S. government and NATO helped overthrow Gaddafi and destroy Libya after he voluntarily gave up his weapons of mass destruction in good faith, they communicated to every regime on earth to never give up their weapon programs and never negotiate with the United States. That one act did more to set back non-proliferation than potentially any single moment in modern history. Iraq showed that American intelligence was not to be believed. Libya showed that America and NATO were not to be trusted. And Afghanistan showed that America was not to be feared. Beautifully said. Any of the disagreement that you're seeing right now is the fruits of a 30-year failed neoconservative project. And we are reckoning with those mistakes now. And those forces are still on the Hill, like Lindsey Graham and James Lankford, calling for a regime change war. Because then once you have regime change, you break it, you buy it. Now, if Israel is going to do regime change, obviously they have the right to do that. But is that going to suck America in? If Israel does regime change, what's next? Who's going to take the refugees? How many refugees will there be? What happens if a worse leader takes over Iran? It's a real question.
Yeah, and that was my point. And what he was saying was like, what, we're doing regime change because they don't like who's operating Iran. But we know that the Ayatollah that was in Iran before they blew him up was more moderate than the ones after, right? And, it's just like they always talk about Putin. Laura Loomer, we're going to get to her fucking clip. She's a clown talking about if I was President Trump, I would, and Russia or Putin was giving weapons to Iran, I'd kill him. I mean, it's like these people they're out of their minds. Anyway, they were talking about taking out Putin. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Everybody that's below Putin, they're more radical than Putin is. Putin's been there 25 years, and he's kept them moderately contained because their Joint Chief of Staff wants to just blow shit up because that's what he does. And and it's just like these people they don't have common sense. That's what it comes down to. They don't realize that what they're getting themselves into is more than what it seems. And they do this thing over and over and over. Look, we were supposed to be out of Iran in 3 to 4 days, and it's been 7 months. Well, it's the date today. 22nd. So 28th. So just a week shy of 7 months that we've been over there. Okay. So, I mean, that tells you everything you know. At the end of the day, that tells you everything you need to know. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, it's free. Whatever channel, whatever platform you're on, they're all free. They cost nothing. Please join the subscribers or whatever it's called. All right, let's play this John Ballon report. I'm gonna turn the computer over to my boy, let him run it for a while. So here we go. Stand by.
Iran wasn't a great power like Germany. It wasn't a great power like the Soviet Union. We're making Iran a major power as we go forward. But this was the biggest one, much more difficult than Vietnam. Much more difficult than Iraq, much more difficult than Afghanistan. And so the consequences of taking on that much more dangerous, difficult foe are going to be with us really significantly longer.
Robert Pape has been analyzing, tracking, running simulations on all of this. Literally, the final lesson that this guy has taught at college, at school for a very long time, for a period of years, has been, what would a simulated, attack on Iran look like?
We are in a wicked escalation trap. We're not just seeing escalation, we're seeing it grow horizontally, and we're seeing Iran now initiating attacks, not just on the receiving end. The United States started this war and is now in a strategically worse position and is trying to simply get back to even. This war has upended the balance of power in the region that existed before the war. Before the war, America was the ascendant power, Israel the rising power, and Iran the declining power. Now all of those lines are reversed. And Iran thinks it won the war and it should be in control of Hormuz and have large influence in the Persian Gulf and the Middle East it did not have before. The United States is trying to reverse its defeat and is not accepting the new status quo.
The history of us covering this Iran war and being against it, this whole conflict, is not some crackpot theory that we have about how this could potentially be bad. This is what all the experts have said, again, since before day one. You can go to college professors like Pape. You can go to analysts like Larry Johnson.
We don't have good intelligence, and we certainly don't have ground penetrating radar that tells us how many missiles they've got stacked up in these tunnels and buried in these mountains. But I guarantee you that in addition to storing such missiles, they're also doing production of such missiles in these secure locations. So we don't have even a clue exactly how many they have.
You can go to literally everybody who commentates and talks about this in the online geopolitical space. This is not rocket science. Look at this. Trump's pattern of strategic defeat is only leading to more escalation, a world economic crisis, and more gains for Iran. This is the thing. The longer it lasts, the more concessions they're able to extract out of us. And the situation that Trump is in, it's very tough. He doesn't have the ability to extract concessions from the Iranians, but at the same time, he doesn't have the ability to extricate himself from the conflict, because if he does, Israel remains under threat because they're violating what Iran wants them to do by not invading Lebanon and not killing the rest of the Palestinians. You have to understand, this is all an ethno-supremacist war.
It sounds like you're saying one Jewish life is worth hundreds or thousands of Palestinian lives.
Not million. One Jewish life, it's 10 million, okay?
That just sounds racist.
Yes, I know. But this is the truth. Because God chose us. Because of this, you are jealous.
And it's not our ethnicity. It's not white people. It's not black people. It's not Mexicans. That's not the problem. What's the quote from The Hobbit? There's no need for war between dwarves, elves, and men. A legion of orcs marches upon the mountain. Like, this is a real problem. We're fighting and dying in a war, an ethno-supremacist religious war for people thousands of miles away that we're not related to and could care less about, that have no relation to the foundation or history of our new republic/empire here, the last 250 years of the United States. It's a ludicrous idea to think that you have to go fight and die or serve a state like this. And it's a ludicrous idea that any political candidate would come to you hat in hand and tell you just have to be good and support them a little bit harder, and we're going to be able to get all this done. We're never going to be able to get any of it done.
All right. Yeah. So that's a really important report at the end of the day, because the Iran war, again, is what's going to be the self-destruction of the United States. It really is. And we can say that we have all the best equipment and we have the best military and all that stuff is great, but we're 60, 70% depleted right now, because think about what's happened. We had a 20-year war, 21-year war in Afghanistan, Iraq, Afghanistan. Then we had a few years where we was kind of idling. Then right away they crack off another war with Russia, and so we're sending all of our stuff to over to Ukraine, and we did that for, it's been 3 or 4 years now, and now we're in this thing with Iran, and it's just burning up all of our emissions. And what do? Now our oil reserve is down. The whole thing is just, man, it's like, what in the hell is going on here? Why are these people so stupid? And we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to get into why we shouldn't be in this and what the our military stock looks like. We're going to get into that tonight. So, but before we do, let's listen to what Jeffrey Sachs says He's talking to I can't remember the dude's name. Played two, John Jeffrey Sachs.
And I deeply believe the only threat to the United States, period, in the world, given the oceans, given our size, and given the military, is nuclear war. I deeply believe we're close to nuclear war because we have a mindset that leads us in that direction. We have a mindset that everything is a challenge for survival and that escalation is therefore always the right approach. My view is a little bit of prudence could save the whole planet. So why I don't like Ukraine is that I don't see any reason in the world that NATO has to be on Russia's border with Ukraine. I was, as I said, Gorbachev's advisor and Yeltsin's advisor, and they wanted peace and they wanted cooperation. But whatever they wanted, they did not want the U.S. military on their border. So if we continued to push, as we did, we would get to war. John explained that better than anybody. We're now at war, and even this morning, there is further escalation. Blinken has said, well, if the Iranians give these missiles, then we will give missiles to hit deep into Russia. This is a recipe. And then we had Bill Burns, the CIA director, say last week, an absurdity that he knows, but CIA directors never tell the truth. If they do, they lose their job. But he said, don't worry about nuclear war. Don't worry about saber rattling. My advice to you is worry a lot about nuclear war. And so be prudent. You don't have to put the U.S. military on Russia's border, okay? And my advice to Russia and to Mexico, when I'm going to Mexico tomorrow, I'll give them a piece of advice. Don't let China or Russia build a military base on the Rio Grande. Not a good idea for Mexico. Not a good idea for Ukraine. Not a good idea for Russia. Not a good idea for China. Not a good idea for the United States. We need to stay a little bit away from each other so that we don't have a nuclear war. By the way, I do recommend another good book, and that is Annie Jacobson's Nuclear War, A Scenario. It takes 2 hours to read. The world ends in 2 hours in the book. And it's a very persuasive guide that one nuke can ruin your whole day, as they say.
Jeffrey,
my strong advice on this, therefore, is recognize China, first of all, is not a threat to the United States security. Big oceans, big nuclear deterrent, and so forth. Second, we don't have to be in China's face. What do I mean by that? We don't have to provoke World War III over Taiwan. That's a long, complicated issue, but this would be the stupidest thing for my grandchildren to die for imaginable. And I resent it every day when we play that game. We have 3 agreements with China that say we're going to stay out of that. And we should. And then China would have no reason for war either. China, and then on the economic side, let me just reiterate, because I was asked yesterday and there was some surprise. Was it good to let China into the WTO? I said, of course. It enriched all of you, by the way. It enriched me. It enriched this country. It enriched the world, including enriching China. That's normal. Economics is not a zero-sum game. We all agree on that. I believe that security doesn't have to be a zero-sum game either. We can stay a little bit away from each other, and China does not spend its time bemoaning America being a Western Hemisphere hegemon. They don't. That's not their greatest interest, to bring down American power in the Western Hemisphere.
Well, I mean, good talk, Sachs, but I beg to differ a little bit about China. Now, the stuff on Iran and all that, I can fully get behind that, and I understand what that looks like, how close we are to a nuclear war and all that stuff. I mean, you can feel it. I mean, you can just feel how close we are to a nuclear Holocaust. We're there. I mean, they're having talks in the Situation Room right now with people about how can we use a nuclear weapon again. And out of all the nuclear weapons that have ever been used, we were the only ones that ever used nuclear weapons, Hiroshima or whatever. So it the whole thing is like they talk about these what are they called? We'll have to play. Let's play McGregor 2A, and he talks about these tactical tactical nukes. Now, other people along the way that I've listened to talk about, there's no such thing as a tactical, or a low emissions nuclear weapon. A nuclear weapon's a nuclear weapon, but what they're saying is that we can just use some, basically use some small nuclear weapons to, let them know that we mean business or something. I am assuming that they think that it would be fine, but we know that Pakistan said, was it Pakistan? I think it was Pakistan that said, was it, who was it? One of those Middle Eastern countries, it might have been Saudi Arabia. I think it was Pakistan, said that if Israel nukes Iran, that they'll nuke Israel. Now, if they start slinging nuclear weapons, it's going to be on. Everybody's going to start blowing people up because it's the end. So let's listen to what McGregor has to say. He was on Redacted a day or two ago, and let's listen to what he has to say too, John. Yeah, McGregor over 2A. Over here, son. Over here. Right here. Right here. Right here. All the way over. All the way over. John. Two.
Well, what shall we do with the drunken hags of what shall we?
Hold on. 2A. Right here. Next one over. Right there. You can't see that? You can't see that? Okay, go ahead. Shoot.
The thing I'm concerned about, and everyone should be concerned about, is the potential for the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. Tactical nuclear weapons are 5 or 10 kilotons or less. And the assumption of the tactical nuclear weapon is that you get much more bang for your buck in terms of destruction, and that the enemy will then be intimidated in doing what you want them to do. People point to what happened at Hiroshima in 1945 and say, see, that ended the war. But they have to understand something. In 1945, Japan was effectively defeated, and it had no allies, none. Iran is not defeated, it has allies. Russia and China are rushing supplies right now into Iran, not just military assistance, but also humanitarian assistance, so that they have the food and the medicine and so forth that they need. So Iran is very much part of an unofficial alliance with Russia and Iran, and they're not going to allow Iran to go under. If we use a tactical nuclear weapon, which I think is possible, but hopefully Donald Trump will stay away from it and think about it more carefully. But there are people in the Pentagon, they mentioned Elbridge Colby. There are senior officers in the Air Force and the Navy, active and retired, who would be delighted to use those. And they think that they can do this and nothing worse will happen. We used to have these massive simulations in which we would fight the Soviets. And then at some point, the simulation would end. That usually meant that we were no longer capable of holding back the millions of Soviet troops in the simulations. And instead of going to the nuclear level, the exercise would just end. And then people brought up the use of tactical nukes. And I always liked what General Powell said at that point. He said, oh, so you mean if we use a small tactical nuclear weapon and we get a small nuclear detonation, the Soviets will say, oh, don't worry about that. That's a small nuclear weapon. Don't be concerned. Nothing bad will happen. And in reality, he said, that's insane. Whatever they've got, they'll use. You've lost control. Everything will be destroyed. Well, he was right. We have no way of knowing what nuclear weapons might then be released to the use of the Iranians. And we have always worried about the rogue state called Israel and its capacity to employ nuclear weapons on its whim.
And so that's what I was saying. So let me see that real quick. Let me fix this so you can see the screen. Hold on a second. We're gonna do a little on the fly work here. Hold on a second. Give us a second here. Let me get this straightened out for him so he can see what's going on here. Sorry, guys. Let me just get this so he can see it. So we're almost there. That help you out, Jay? All right, there you go. All right. So sorry about that, guys. We're just working. We're doing something on the fly here. The soundboard thing kind of threw me off today. I wasn't prepared for my show, so I got prepared. And then, of course, there's always something going on here. And I'm a one-man show here. So not Ty. I had a conversation with Ty yesterday. Before we, he's like, hey, let's just catch up. Let's kind of like see where we're at because we never met or anything. Ty and Norman, we are not going to Mars. Is his YouTube channel and his X. Anyway, check him out. Subscribe to his channel too. Anyway, we were talking, and I was like, he's like, you got this operation over there, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, and I don't know, the conversation came up and I'm like, I would do it by myself. I have an IT guy that when I have problems, he comes in and helps me, or he'll hook up to my computer and fix stuff and do things like that. But I do this all by myself. And he's like, oh, so when you guys, when we're doing this and there's a glitch or something's going on, it's just me over here. I don't have four or five people in the studio helping me. It's just me. So, my son's been gracious enough to come in and help us a little bit. And I'm teaching him how to do it because it's a lot of moving parts here. We got 5 monitor, we got all this stuff going on. I guess we got 4 right now, 4 monitors. And it's just a lot. So he's learning and we're going to do this. So anyway, where are we? We are right here. Okay. Got it. So, see. Oh yeah, we got to play this one. Stand by.
Trump plane switch specific threat was from shoulder-fired surface-to-air missile. That's at alexjoneslive.com. And I said specifically it'll be Israel that shoots him down years ago and says Iran did it.
Surface-to-air missile, 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 surface-to-air missile. I want the clip of me talking about surface-to-air missile, and Trump needs anti-missile defense systems.
Footage from the night shows Trump boarding a former Air Force One jumbo jet. He is then reportedly shuttled minutes later into a smaller plane via an airport catering truck typically used to load food and supplies onto aircraft.
So I go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say. Well, I don't know. I think actually the plane that I flew on was at greater risk. I think it was at greater risk because that would be the plane I think that they would be more likely to go for. I don't worry about anything, to be honest. Whatever it is, my attitude, whatever.
He'll then say if I ever get killed, it's Iran's fault. So that sets Israel up to kill Trump so they can control things more here domestically.
I'm number 1 on their list before you. But if I go, you go. Right?
But was there a specific
perhaps someday you want to change professions.
Show. I want the archivist to find. I said it like 500 times. It won't be hard. Surface-to-air missile. I want me to put this as an archive to X. Later today, the full show. I want that added in there. We'll cut me explaining it out. But I'm just saying because it got missed. Surface-to-air missile. Surface-to-air missile.
Surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs, are radars or infrared guided missiles that are fired from the ground into the sky. They're mainly designed to obstruct and destroy aircrafts or other missiles.
Olden days when we had to shoot guns at airplanes, it was a lot easier to miss. Now, because we have radar-controlled missiles and we have infrared heat-seeking missiles, and we even have visually tracked and controlled missiles, the chances of them missing when they shoot at you are very, very low.
And now, oh, what broke today? The Pentagon says, and the CIA says it's a false assessment. It wasn't true. But Israel told Trump they're there with surface-to-air missiles to shoot down your plane.
I, frankly, would not have relied just totally on Israeli intelligence. I think it was important at that moment to talk to our own CIA director or talk to our CIA officials and determine whether or not it was a credible threat and whether or not we had intelligence that, in fact, that kind of threat existed. I don't know that that took place here. I've worked with Mossad. We've shared intelligence before, but generally, it was a relationship of trust. When you have a competitive relationship here, in which you're not quite sure what exactly is the reason for providing this intelligence directly to the president, as opposed to talking to our intelligence officials and determining whether it's credible, that raises concerns that we just have to be a little bit careful about taking action without verification of the intelligence that's coming in.
Surface-to-air missile, 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 surface-to-air missile. I want the clip. I've been talking about surface-to-air missile, and Trump needs anti-missile defense.
Shut up! Shut the
Ladies and gentlemen, Bigley has launched an online pharmacy.
All right. You gotta love a little bit of crazy Alex Jones, man. You gotta just love it. Anyway, what are they talking about? They're talking about well, first thing, why would Trump say to the media, the media is this conglomerate of people that are always at his throat all the time, and he's telling them that they moved him to a different plane that wasn't protected by the F-15s or whatever, because that's what flies around the Air Force One, Air Force Two, or whatever he's on. And he's talking about, and he literally told them that he was on a plane that wasn't protected. Why would he do that? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Or was he saying that he was set up and he caught that he was being set up during the time that he was? I mean, it's just it's like what is going on? Like, why would you even? It should have been confidential. If he was going to get shifted off to another plane because they were concerned about them leaving the Middle East or whatever, you would think that they would have kept that just under the table, confidential, and not talk about it. But of course, he's got to get out there, pump his ego out there, and talk shit, and none of it makes sense. But what we do have is we have them literally talking right now about using nuclear weapons, and we're running out of missions, man. I mean, we are really running out of the stuff that we need to protect ourselves. So very interesting. Let's play Professor John Mearsheimer 2A, John. All the way over one more right there. Yes, sir.
That's Mearsheimer for coming back on Going Underground. You've said Trump is flailing around after, like his predecessors, launching this war in West Asia. But what does this actually say about governance in your country? How do you explain the inability of anyone in his cabinet, in the military, the Congress, to explain to Trump what has been going on these past few months?
Well, the fact is that Trump doesn't really listen to anyone else. Trump is a genius in his estimation, and he thinks that he knows what's best. So he has set up this system inside the White House where he does have some advisors, but they're basically people who live in fear of him. And if they tell him something he doesn't like, he's free to ignore them. With regard to Congress, Congress has remarkably little power in the foreign policy realm. So President Trump is pretty much free to do whatever he wants. And this is how we got into this war in the beginning. You want to remember that almost all of his principal advisors were opposed to the war. This includes the head of the CIA, General Kane, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the vice president, and the secretary of state. They all thought that going to war against Iran in the fashion that we planned to do on February 28th was foolish. And of course, they proved right. But Trump refused to listen to them, paid hardly any attention, and instead listened to Benjamin Netanyahu and David Barnea, who is the head of Mossad. But this is just the way things work in the United States at this point in time.
Yeah, in the past few days, there were all those reports of the depletion of U.S. Military capacity. Do you think that was General Kane surreptitiously trying to feed things to the press because they're too frightened to talk to Trump directly? Or do you think this was a tactical attempt at trying to say to Iran, we're running out, and then trying to attack again? What was behind all these leaks to the press that the United States was running out of military capacity?
Well, the first point I would make to you is that before the war started, General Kane was warning Trump that we had limited stocks of munitions for purposes of waging a war against Iran. And we certainly could not fight a protracted war. But what's happened is we're engaged in a protracted war, and it's amazing the extent to which we have depleted our stockpile of sophisticated weaponry. And these weapons are not going to be easy to replace. If you just look at air defense missiles, there are two kinds. One are the THAADs, and then the other are the Patriots. We have used up 80% of our THAAD missiles and 65% of our Patriots. With regard to, our attack missiles, our smart missiles that you can use for offensive purposes, we've used up 50% of the Tomahawks. And according to press reports, virtually all of the ATACMS and PRISMs. So the United States has really seriously damaged its inventory of sophisticated weapons that it really needs in places like East Asia, in places like Ukraine, and so forth and so on.
That's crazy. 90%, huh? And 60% of our tactical nukes, our tactical weapons are, it's crazy. Like, so we're still out there fighting. We have no oil. So we're running out of oil. Reserves are completely gone. And we're not getting oil from the Middle East for sure. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. And, they want to keep fighting the war. So, you know what I mean? And now they're talking about nuclear weapons. It's wild. It's just crazy. I was looking for something. I can't find it, but where we at? It's frustrating. Oh yeah, that's right. The next one, where we're gonna go here? We're gonna go. Oh yeah, let's play that. Let's jump into that. Let's play that right there, John. Stand by.
Well, what shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? Early in the morning, way hey, and up she rises. Way hey, and up she rises. Way hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning, he was drinking on the Foxet before the showtime. He was drinking on the Foxet before the showtime. He was drinking on the Foxet before the showtime. Early in the morning, carried up the strip club in his uniform. Carried up the strip club in his uniform. Carried up the strip club in his uniform. Early in the morning. Hey! Misconduct at the hearings. He denied all the misconduct at the hearings. He denied all the misconduct at the hearings. Early in the morning, crooked Pulp Fiction as Ezekiel 25:17. Quoted Pulp Fiction as Ezekiel 25:17. Quoted Pulp Fiction as Ezekiel 25:17. Early in the morning. Hey! righteous man is beset on all sides. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides. Early in the morning, my call sign is Sandy One, not the Lord up above. My call sign is Sandy One, not the Lord up above. My call sign is Sandy One, not the Lord up above. Early in the morning, now he's running the Department of War. Now he's running the Department of War. Now he's running the Department of War. Early in the morning. What shall we do with a drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with a drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with a drunken Hexeth? Early in the morning, put him in the brig till he finds the real Bible. Early in the morning.
So the great and amazing Natalie Winters, speaking of treason, I don't know where the military justice people are. Jag, I don't know where you are. But Natalie Winters has broken a major scandal again with the CCP. So it looks like a privately supported U.S.-China nuclear group dialogue brought senior American military, diplomatic, and nuclear officials into reoccurring meetings with the Chinese Communist Party participants that included personnel from China Academy of Engineering, Physics, and China's Nuclear Weapons Research Establishment. The sponsoring Chinese foundation's own charter says it upholds the Chinese Communist Party overall leadership and gives its internal party organization a role in all major decisions and foreign activities. So again, the China United States Exchange Foundation that we've been warning about for years apparently teamed up with the PIE Foundation, and that's the Pacific International Exchange Foundation, for strategic dialogue. And it required CCP leaders and internal party organization, party participants to manage meetings.
That's wild. So they're talking to the Chinese in these meetings. What's going on? Am I missing it? Am I missing something here? It don't make sense to me. None of this stuff it doesn't pass the smell test what they're doing. Like, I don't understand. That's why I played the drunk Hexeth clip first, because it's like it doesn't make sense that. And Natalie Winters, she's a very great reporter. She does very good work, and she's always done good work. Investigating China and all the things that she's found out about China and the participants and all that stuff. And it's just shocking to find out that our government is working hand in hand with China about our military stuff. Or, it don't make sense. None of it makes sense to me. And I am not a military guy. I'll just be clear. So I don't understand it. But I do listen to people like Joe Kent when he's talking about, the art of war and how it, and all the things that go with that, and America first, and, and how that doesn't make sense that one, we share our secrets with China or Israel or whoever. It don't make sense. I mean, those things should be confidential only for our military, only for our heads of state and stuff like that. So I don't know what's going on with that. So if somebody could fill me in on that, that would be super great. Now, we are talking about nuclear weapons right now. We are talking about all the things that go on with this debacle of Iran is the cornerstone of it, but it doesn't just stop there. It's Putin and Russia, and it's China, it's Korea, North Korea. It's all the Rocket Man over there. They're all coordinating right now to get involved with some kind of a conflict with the United States. That's very clear. And the longer that we're in Iran doing that, the worse it's going to be for us to fight a war against China or, North Korea or both, or Russia. I mean, and I know that, like I said earlier, Putin has been very reserved with what he does in this conflict with what's it called, John? Why can't I think of it? This happens. It'll come to me in a second. The conflict with Putin, with Russia. Oh, Ukraine, yeah. And he's been very reserved because he could have wiped him off the map. That's not what his intention was. His intention all this time was about getting them off of his border. He didn't want bases on his border. He didn't want them on the border because that's too much of a threat for him. You know what I mean? For Russia to have them that close. And they had a treaty that they wouldn't get close, and they just kept edging their way in. That's what started the conflict with Russia, by the way. And so now I don't speak Russian, but they're having these meetings every day about all this stuff that they're talking about. And they're really talking about conflict. And if they have to get into conflict, they're only gonna respond to conflict if they have to defend themselves. That's what I read in all the, because they have the English words in the bottom of it, but I wasn't gonna play it because then I have to read it and do all that stuff, and it just moves too fast for me. But what Putin did say in the most recent, I guess it's a one of these meetings that he's having. I don't know if it's with the media or if it's with his cabinet or whatever, because I don't know because I don't speak Russian. But he literally said, we're only going to protect our country and we're going to protect ourselves, but we're not trying to start conflict. We're not trying to attack anybody, not even the United States or anybody except for Ukraine, because they're at war with Ukraine. Basically, that's what the synopsis was of what they were saying. But it doesn't make sense why we just keep pushing. And now, I don't know if you know this or not, most people don't realize that what we got going on right now with Iran is making demands. Now they're saying that you have 2 to 3 weeks to get all your everybody out of the Middle East and off their land and out of the bases around, or they're going to start attacking. And I guess they're in Jordan. They've pulled out from everywhere except for Jordan, and now Iran's attacking Jordan. So, I mean, that's a very interesting concept in itself. So they've pushed us all the way back to, they flattened all the bases over there. From my understanding, there's a bunch of video on these different places being bombed. I mean, last month, couple months, they just been bombing them. And so here we are, still fighting a war that we shouldn't be in, fighting for some other country that we shouldn't be fighting their wars. They should be fighting their own wars. And now they're demanding $300 billion, I think it is, something like $500 billion, something crazy like that, a bunch of money to get out. And I don't know if it's money that we've seized from Iranians, or I don't know the deep, under the covers part of it. I don't know if the $300 billion is money that we've seized from them in the past or something, because there's all that stuff going on too that they don't tell you about. So I'm not sure, but anyway, let's jump into Jess talking about Trump considering using nuclear weapons. Go ahead.
Some people say that nukes aren't real. Personally, I'd rather not find out. But Mad King Trump, he wants to fuck around so that we can all find out if they're real or not. Marjorie Taylor Greene dropped on X earlier tonight that she's got information that the White House is holding strategy meetings and discussing using a nuclear weapon against Iran. I've also heard other people say that they have sources that the White House is talking about using nuclear weapons against Pickaxe Mountain. You got to stop to appreciate how fucking retarded this is. For one, we need to nuke Iran so that they can't have a nuclear weapon. The irony there, absolutely ridiculous. Pickaxe Mountain is a nuclear fortified mountain bunker. Like, so nuking it from an airburst wouldn't even fucking do anything. That means to actually be effective and for this to even be a real thing, you would have to insert special forces that take the place and take the nuclear bomb inside, because there is no bunker buster. There is no way. They're like, maybe if you want to roll the dice, you could try to slam one into the front door thinking you're going to do something, but that's really not going to fucking end that thing. So this is all just for vanity. This is fucking Trump so pissed off that he has lost this fucking thing, and they lost this fucker all the way back on day one when they Pearl Harbored Iran. They Pearl Harbored Iran. How did America feel when we got Pearl Harbored? Because turn that around, that's what Donald Trump did to Iran. He Pearl Harbored them. And on top of it, he killed a bunch of fucking schoolgirls and a women's volleyball team. So yeah, no, they're not gonna fucking just roll over and comply. This thing was lost on day one. And you know whose Navy's been fucking damaged? The Abraham Lincoln is short of supplies because Iran has destroyed all the fucking resupply ports, the Fifth Fleet at Bahrain and Oman, all those bases, and those were the resupply ports, and Iran has destroyed them. So now our U.S. Navy fleet that's out there in the Persian Gulf can only be resupplied from Diego Garcia, which is 1,500 fucking kilometers away, and they've only got 2 supply ships, because in the infinite wisdom of our military, they didn't need supply ships anymore because we had so many bases around the world, and you just resupply from bases. Oh, except when you get your bases blown the fuck up. Our leaders are retarded. And people out there saying, oh, the military would never allow Donald Trump to fucking nuke Iran. Are you out of your mind? Then why hasn't the military stopped this insanity fucking months ago, when it was an absolute fucking inability to accomplish any of the goals? All of the original goals that were set out, they've abandoned them all. And now we've lost control of the Straits of Hormuz, which used to be an open thing. Now Iran has control of it, and there's no way to get it back from them. This is a worse scenario, just getting worse by the fucking day, with mistake after mistake after mistake. And the top of our military evidently doesn't have the balls to stand up to fucking Trump. They're saying that Dan Kane has been trying to get in there, but he can't get in there to fucking tell Trump like what a horrible fucking idea this is. And you got Admiral Cooper, who is pissing in fucking Pete Hegseth's ear all day, Admiral Cooper is a fucking Zionist shill. The dude went over to Israel and gave some whole speech about how you're God's chosen people and you're all warriors and we're going to win. Like, that dude is off his fucking rocker and needs to be removed. All these Zionists that preach this wackadoodle fucking end time shit of fucking chosen people, that is not fucking right. Like, that is dangerous shit. That is Nazi level shit right there. Oh, the chosen people. These people are better than somebody else. Like, no, that is not what we believe here in America. It's all men are created equal. Have we forgotten this? Yes, evidently we have forgotten this, because we can't follow the Constitution at all, because our Congress can't even fucking declare war and give the president war powers. No, he just seizes them and goes around, starts whatever, and is now considering nuking Iran. Donald Trump has to be removed by the 25th Amendment. If there are people that are this concerned, that are leaking out to people that they are talking about nuclear weapons, stand the fuck up like Joe Kent, grow some balls, be a man, be the American patriot the American people deserve in this moment. Resign your post and fucking call this bullshit what it is. 25th Amendment. JD Vance, if you fucking ever want to get elected to anything ever again, buddy, you better fucking start doing something. To the rest of us, good luck, because we bought the ticket and we're just along for the ride. And this is one hell of a ride. Good luck to you all. Long live the Republic.
Yeah, and he's right. And really, if they're talking about nuclear weapons, let's just be real about it. All the great things, bad things, good, it doesn't matter. If you're talking about using nuclear weapons against your enemy because you can't beat them on the ground or whatever, or, that is World War III. As soon as one nuclear weapon drops, everybody's going to get involved, because everybody's going to be trigger happy, and that's what's going to happen. and then they're going to start nuking everybody. And that's just the truth. And I've heard a bunch of different stories, or I've seen a bunch of different video of people talking about who is going to be affected first, and all that stuff that happens. So I mean, I don't want to fuck around and find out myself. I think about my children. I don't again, I don't care about what happens to me, but I do care about what happens to my children. You know what I mean? Because they have a whole life ahead of them. And sometimes I wonder about where we're headed, what we're going to leave our kids behind right now with this whole debacle that's been going on for the last. Really, it's gotten super hard, super heavy duty since really Obama's second term, when the racism and all that stuff came about and all that stuff. They brought in the ISIS caliphate and all that stuff. That's when it really started. And in the last 10 years, since about 2016, 17, it's really kicked up. And I know that Trump talked about no new wars, and he did pretty good about getting us out of Afghanistan, or he was at least attempting to get us out of Afghanistan, pull us out of Syria and all that stuff. And he was doing that before he lost 20, when they stole the 2020 election. And here we are. We're in a pickle right now, because if they start that, we're going to do this it's a longer clip, but it's we'll probably play some of it and stop it, and then start, and we'll talk about it or whatever, because it's a longer clip than I normally play, but the information is there. And I think that it's Ben Swan and Mike Adams talking about this exact thing, and the escalation of war. And if you know anything about Mike Adams, he is pretty spot on about all of it. I mean, he's just dead on. And one of the things that you need to be concerned about, besides nuclear weapons being dropped on the United States, is famine. And I know that when you talk about famine, you're talking about famine in third world countries first. They're going to get hit. They're going to be the ones that suffer the greatest loss of life first. But at some point it will get here, because a lot of things are happening. They can't get supplies because a lot of it comes across the Strait of Hormuz. Oil. Can't make nothing when you don't have no oil. So that means, in the wintertime, people are going to start getting cold. People are going to be dying from cold, right? Just from the cold, because they don't have no oil. They can't operate anything without fuel, right? And so then the other part is fertilizer. When there's no fertilizer for the crops to grow, because a lot of them live off the land, a lot of them, operate from their, the things that they grow, and they ship all over the United States. They ship all over the world. And that's how they're able to survive in these third world countries. When there's no fertilizer, they already said that it's 60% down 60%. So when these crops pass right now, they're ending, in the next couple of months, they're going to end the cycle of the grow season. And then they're going to go into the winter months. And then when it comes back around, there's going to be no fertilizer. And that's going to be a problem. And that's when there's going to be famine. Okay. And then that's when it's going to get crazy. And when we have famine in other countries, what happens? Our borders get invaded, because they know that we have more here than they have there. And they make their way here, and they get here any way they can. And by the way, I just heard a couple days ago that San Diego's wide open. They said that it was at 99% closed, and now it's at 90%. So that tells me that about 10% of the illegal aliens are getting back through, getting into the United States right now. So, and that's straight up because Trump pulled the troops off the border, because he did have them out there, basically holding post for the border, not letting people come across. And they've been, because remember what is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. the old ICE captain. What was his name? Anyway, he had said that they had direct orders from Trump to back off and leave and go back to whatever they were doing before they were getting people off the border and going from town to town, border patrol, getting people off the street and all that stuff. There's a direct order to pull off of that that mission. So you have that too, right? And so the more that famine hits other countries, the more we're going to get invaded because we have more things here than they have there. And because, when it comes time to eat, people get crazy. Okay. And so let's get into this. Go ahead, John, play. 2D.
There is a fear that Trump is on the verge of becoming Jimmy Carter. If he comes out of this war defeated, it will become his legacy. And desperation might lead him and the administration to say, we can't lose, therefore we're willing to ratchet this thing up and do something so extreme that the entire world has resisted this for decades and promised to never do this.
Pandora's box is about to become radioactive. I don't think it will stop at one nuke. If Trump is foolish enough, this could unleash a rapidly escalating nuclear retaliation and then counter-retaliation.
The war with Iran is entering a new and potentially a much more dangerous phase. The clock has run out on the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. There is still no deal tonight. The Strait of Hormuz is still largely shut down. And President Trump says no talks are taking place at all. And now Iran is drawing a new line in the sand. Tehran says the strait stays closed until Washington meets its demands, including lifting the blockade, releasing frozen Iranian assets, lifting oil sanctions, and ending U.S. military operations. And then comes the part that should get everyone's attention. Iran says if those demands are not met within 3 to 4 weeks, it will severely escalate. So let's just think about what's being said there for a moment. 5 months into a war that was supposed to bring a quick victory, and Iran is now issuing Washington an ultimatum. And as that's happening, it's happening the day after U.S. Special Envoy Jared Kushner met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, trying to find a path toward broader regional peace. Kushner says the U.S. will not restrict Israel's right to defend itself. He himself discusses giving Hamas an ultimatum that if they don't disarm, Israel can go in and, quote, finish the job. Expiring MOU and talk from both sides of the conflict that signify that we are no closer to reaching a peace deal than we really were on day one. And the results of this continue to be seen. Trump's approval rating has fallen to 33% in the latest Reuters Ipsos poll. This is the lowest, by the way, of his presidency. 80% of Americans, 80% say they expect U.S. involvement in the Iran conflict to continue for an extended period. So the question is, what happens next? Well, if you listen to members of the president's inner circle, the options may scare you.
First, the Iranian regime is not going to surrender. It is never going to surrender. We've been in wars before where we fought enemies that wouldn't surrender either. Remember the kamikazes? Remember Japan? Remember the emperor was like a demigod to the people back then? Tojo was very stubborn, very headstrong. And unfortunately, we had to drop 2 atomic bombs until they would surrender. Obviously, we're not going to do that now. But I'm talking about an enemy that is dug in.
So what is he talking about? See, Mark Levin there floating the idea of using nuclear weapons, but also notice how he takes it back at the very end, all in an effort to escape culpability if that were to actually happen. But it's comments like these from people like Mark Levin that we need to pay attention to. Because, see, he represents the very inner circle who influenced the president to get into this conflict in the first place. And it's not just him. Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is now claiming that the Trump administration is discussing lowering the nuclear threshold for possible use against Iran. And she didn't present it as a rumor. She says this, quote, they are discussing using nuclear weapons on Iran in strategy meetings. Yes, you read that correctly. It's real. I'm not speculating. I know, and it's pure evil. Trump promised no more foreign wars, but may actually be the one who delivers a nuclear holocaust that would likely drag the entire world into major conflict, economic depression, and mass human suffering like we've never seen in our lifetimes, and maybe throughout history. People need to speak out and boldly stop this insanity. A White House spokesperson, Davis Ingalls, said this, however, quote, Marjorie Quitter Green has no idea what she's talking about. The former congresswoman disgracefully quit on her constituents during the middle of her term and wants to pretend like she has insight into the president's thinking. She is completely out of the loop and should quit spreading fake news. Now, to be clear, that claim from Green, it's not proof that President Trump has decided to use a nuclear weapon. And by the way, she didn't say that he decided. She said it's being talked about. But if a former member of Congress and a former Trump ally is saying that she knows the discussion is happening, that is something the public should want answers about. And it also proves that right now, it might not just be a conflict that's spiraling out of control. The political movement that Donald Trump built appears to be in a full-out civil war themselves. Marjorie Taylor Greene is challenging the administration over Iran. Alex Jones is accusing Tim Pool today of being a paid Israeli shill. Once a united front, the Conservative Party appears to be divided across the board. And we can't fail to mention, of course, Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson receiving millions of viewers for their debate last week over the death of Charlie Kirk, right? Conservatives are fighting each other on X every day. They're fighting each other on podcasts. They're fighting each other over Israel, over Iran, over war, over foreign policy, and now over whether the United States should even be talking about using nuclear weapons. This isn't just a political disagreement anymore. This is a full-blown civil war. And the only one paying for it is you. At the gas pump, in the cost of food, eventually through the defense budget. Listen to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who traveled to a state fair in Iowa to tell these Americans why their money should be going overseas.
President Trump needs the type of leaders who understand why a $1.5 trillion budget, a one-time generational investment, is what is necessary to ensure that my kids and your kids, that your grandkids and my grandkids live in a free country defended by the most powerful military in the world.
I don't know if you caught what he said there. He called the new defense budget a one-time, really, generational investment. Really. But here's the question. How many more generations of Americans are supposed to pay for this war? 5 months ago, we were told this would be quick. Tonight, Iran is threatening further escalation. Members of the president's own political movement are warning that nuclear weapons are being discussed. The very movement that promised to end foreign wars is tearing itself apart over one.
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she's no longer an active congresswoman, she maintains contacts clearly. And she also has a track record of telling the truth when it's unpopular with the White House. So I tend to think that she has a legitimate concern that she's voicing, and she has trustworthy sources that she is citing. Secondly, what makes rational sense is when Trump claims that he wants to make the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was a joke, but it sounds like something, it sounds similar to saying, we're going to take Panama, we're going to take Greenland, whatever. How exactly would you accomplish that given that the U.S. military is reportedly very short on other types of munitions necessary for kinetic warfare and air defense? It seems to me that the U.S. has a gap where they would have to, or the Pentagon would have to leap into nuclear weapons because we don't have anything else in the mid-range that has been proven to be effective against Iran. No matter how many bombs we drop, Iran remains in control of the Strait of Hormuz, period.
So interesting that you brought up the statement by Trump saying, the Strait of Hormuz is now U.S. territory. I'm going to make it U.S. territory. I wanted to bring that up to you because of the fact that it feels like it's hyperbolic, right? It's Trump being Trump. He says these outlandish things. He gets attention through it. He doesn't always just say stuff because we've seen this happen again just in the midst of this particular war, right? Trump will make some statement about how we're going to, wipe them off the face of the earth, but then he does decapitate the entire leadership of Iran. Like he wasn't lying that he was going to do something there. He did blow up a school with 170 young girls in it. He really did do that. He really did have that Operation Midnight Hammer a year ago where he flew over the top of Iran and they dropped bombs on Iran. So it's not that all of these things are just hyperbolic. And I think where a lot of people are questioning is that at this point, there is a fear that Trump is on the verge of becoming Jimmy Carter. If he comes out of this war defeated, it will become his legacy. No matter what else he does in the remainder of his term or in his previous terms, Trump's legacy will be he lost the war with Iran. And desperation might lead him and the administration to say, we can't lose. Therefore, we're willing to ratchet this thing up and do something that is so extreme that the entire world has resisted this for decades and promised to never do this.
Well, I would add to what you just said. I agree with it, but I would add that I think what Trump is going to be known for is the destruction of the credibility of the U.S. military to project power around the world, which is what underpins the demand that other countries trade in the U.S. dollar. So what's really at risk here is not just Trump's presidency or his legacy, which continues to go in a downward spiral, but rather the ability of the United States of America to exist under its current revenue model, which is basically printing fiat currency, exporting inflation around the world, trading debt for goods and services, and in some cases energy from around the world. When that system breaks, then the U.S. empire as we know it cannot survive. That's what Trump's going to be known for, is actually destroying the very system that the U.S. empire currently depends on in order to maintain its viability. And that is, again, comes back to the credibility of the U.S. military to be able to threaten and coerce other countries. If Iran stood up to the entire U.S. military and succeeds in that, then how do you think that's going to be recalculated by China or Russia, for that matter, or even North Korea or other countries? And the answer is that Trump showed the world that the U.S. military is not as powerful as we pretended it was.
Right. And that's a very unfortunate thing to say. It's unfortunate to believe, because I think most of us, I know I did, I even think Russia, China are shocked by what's happened in the past 5 months. I think they are genuinely like, what? Like, we really believe that the U.S. was much more powerful than this. And the idea of the depletion of weapons, and listen, it's not just a failure of the U.S. military, it's a failure of NATO policy. It's a failure of shipping off massive amounts of our missiles and military equipment to Ukraine and watching it be expended, wasted, and destroyed. It's a matter of being involved in these wars for decades, where we just keep using up all that we have. We don't have stockpiles, but no one would have thought that until this moment. And it's as if it wasn't Iran that exposed us. It was the leadership that exposed us.
What you're speaking about, let me put an end cap on it this way. The transition in America from manufacturing and producing physical goods into a financialization economy created a cultural belief that we can create anything we want on paper by just saying it, or by just typing numbers into a computer and boom, there's another $1 trillion. That doesn't work with missiles and rare earth minerals and jet fuel and diesel, et cetera, right? It doesn't work in the real world of commodities and weapon systems. But yet we have a country, we have Wall Street, we have commodities investors, and we have a White House that believes that whatever they say becomes reality, like magical fairies and things. But that's not the way the real world actually works. At some point, we don't have the industrial base to even keep up with the war effort that Trump wants to continue to push. And that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, I think she's correct in saying that the leap to nuclear weapons is really the next sort of logical leap of a mad king to say, we don't have anything in between.
Right.
We've run out of these other things. Now we have to use nukes, or that's it.
Well, the fact that they're referring to this as a nuclear tool as opposed to using a nuclear weapon, right? Words mean something. And the idea here that you're going to downplay it, the rest of the world will not view it this way. Our allies and our opponents around the world will not view this as a nuclear tool. They will say the U.S. has taken the cap off, and you can't control the reaction that comes from that.
Yeah, Pandora's box is about to become radioactive with this. You know, I don't think it will stop at one nuke, no matter what the yield of the nuke. And by the way, a so-called tactical nuclear weapon today can often have a yield higher than the yield of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right, which were, 15 or 16 kilotons. Today's tactical nukes can be much larger than that. This is going to unleash, if Trump is foolish enough to give approval for this, and if anybody is foolish enough in the military to actually follow those orders without resigning, then this could unleash a rapidly escalating nuclear retaliation and then counter retaliation that could very quickly envelop the entire world in a Mad Max fallout scenario that would cause crop failures, radiation sickness, and literally lead to the deaths of billions of people over the next few years. Let's pray we don't get there.
As someone who voted for Trump, truly believed we were going to see no new wars. Had no idea that we would be standing on the edge of the next world war this short into it. Mike Adams, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and so I just played the whole thing through because the information, like I said, is there, and it's like we talk about this stuff all the time, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you haven't been to our store on our website, go over there and just check it out because we have restorable food, water filters. We have the Electro water filter. Gravity fed, doesn't take electricity to operate. Pour the water on the top, 20 minutes or something, it's ready to go, 4 gallons, and each filters were good for 2,000 cups or something like that. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but we have restorable food. They have payment plans, and I know I played the plug earlier for those of you that were here for that. But right now, if we're headed into a time, even if it's a short time, maybe it's 6 months where food's scarce, you need to be able to prepare yourself. Like, do you have backup food? Do you have a freezer where you have food stored that you don't mess with until you need it for an emergency? You have to have backup. You have to have restorable food, different things that you can operate, ammunition, all that stuff. You should have all that stuff ready. Flashlights, batteries. I mean, all the things that you need for an emergency. You got to think of it as an emergency. And you have to be prepared for this because it seems like we are right at the crucible or right on the edge. We're right there, like right there. And the next thing's dropping off the cliff. And if you haven't checked it out, they have payment plans, they have all these different things. I'm gonna call tomorrow and see if I can get my satellite provider to be a sponsor as well. And I think it's time to see if we can't start doing satellite cell phones because if you need to be able to communicate with the world and there's no internet and no electricity and no fuel and no food and you Mad Max shit going on and everybody's famine, everybody's freaking out, people start robbing and stealing and all that stuff, you need to be prepared for it. You need to have a plan. We have a plan here. We have a plan. I mean, we have the bug in and the bug out plan. We just have one because you never know what's going to happen. And I know that sounds so conspiracy theorial and all that stuff, but it's just, you hear tonight, we've went over all these different scenarios that go along with this Iran war or the Russian war, or, you got all these crazy people in the cabinet in the White House that are making all these stupid ideas. And you got Trump out there talking about using tactical nukes and all that stuff. And you just have to be prepared for what's coming. And Mike Adams is spot on, and there's another thing that you, in an emergency scenario, there is Brighteon IO. He has a program where you can communicate without having internet if you're in the network. It's open source, so you can communicate with people on that platform. Say, for instance, the power's out and you have seeds that you got because you knew that you was going to have to have food on your property, and you don't know how to do this, this particular kind, when you're supposed to, start the seeds, or, when you're supposed to start planting or whatever. You can literally go on the website, Brighteon. I think it's Brighteon. I have to look it up. And you can put into the search engine whatever it is that you want to do, and it'll give you all the information for it. Because when your cell phone don't work, you're not going to be able to, you can't use Chat GPT or Grok or the internet, or that's over. I mean, if you don't have like a satellite set up, you're done, right? And if you have at least can prepare yourself, like I have a bug out book, bug in book. I have all these different things. I have what's it called? What's that book called? Let me see, what the hell is it called? Let's see if I can pull it up, because this is important stuff, by the way. I mean, it might not be that serious to some people, but it really, really should be something that everyone is looking at. Grid down. That was a really important one, because um Grid Down, Death of a Nation. I picked up that book years ago, and I read it, and we've printed a copy of it, a hard, and made like a binder of all the things that important things that might have to happen in the event of no electricity, or or no water or whatever. I mean, if you have a pool and water filter, you just go to the pool, get water, pour it in your water filter. It cleans out, all the toxins out of the pool, and you got drinking water. And if you don't have drinking water, I think it's 3 days, I think it's three or 4 days, you start to dehydrate. So just be prepared. Anyway, so I know it sounds so crazy. Let's listen to what Trump, this shit just never stops, man. So Trump is out at I don't know, he's he's talking to reporters, and they ask him about Kim Jong Un or whatever, and he tells them something like he has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. Go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you.
Written letters with Kim Jong Un.
Can't tell you that. But I get along with him. And you know what? The fact that I get along with him, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. Should have never allowed it to happen. They should have never allowed it. If I were president, I wouldn't have allowed it. But he's got them. I get along with him very well. I can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And I know Kim Jong Un very well, and he's going to be fine. As long as we have a smart president, he's going to be fine. If we have a dumb president, then he's probably not going to be so fine.
Are you expecting to meet with him later this year?
Yeah, I will be.
Mr. President, today's
Yeah. If we have a dumb president, well, I don't know what we got right now. I guess we say that he's smart. I don't know. Is this smart? I don't know where the smartness came from. He used to be sharp, man. I mean, he used to be the super sharp. What happened? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just want to throw that in there. Now we're going to talk about, I talked about this a little bit earlier. Laura Loomer is doing an interview, and they start talking about Putin, and she's like, she starts talking about killing Putin. Go ahead, John. 2F.
Afraid of. Vladimir Putin is afraid of Donald Trump. He is. He can pretend like he's not. But Vladimir Putin knows that Donald Trump is the one who calls the shots. He is. He could have been way more aggressive towards Vladimir Putin if he wanted to. Right? I don't think that,
Do you think he should be?
I mean, look, if I was president of the United States and Russia was supplying Iran with weapons, I would kill Vladimir Putin.
And he has the power to do that. Obviously,
But I
there's
mean,
quite a lot
obviously,
of
I
nuclear
don't
weapons
speak.
on
I
Russia's
don't
side.
speak for the president. I'm not saying Donald Trump should kill Vladimir Putin. I'm just saying, if I was president of the United States and I found out that another country was lying to my face, and they were supplying a country that I was at war with, a country that is broadcasting 20 times a day on their national state television, kill Trump, death to America, death to Trump. I would find a way for that world leader to tragically pass away from a heart attack. Very afraid of
Yeah, maybe someone from our audience can show how Article 5 works in that kind of situation. I wouldn't normally ask a scholar this question, but this such are the times we live in. Laura Loomer is apparently someone who has the ear of President Trump, and we were talking about the importance of analyzing policy in terms of these individualistic small cabals in Washington. She's an influencer who was recently interviewing Zelensky. Do you see her interview with Zelensky and her support for the Israel lobby symptomatic of the end of these conflicts and the end, last gasp of the neocon power in Washington? What do you see as the significance of a person like that who has the ear of the president speaking of her wholehearted support for both Netanyahu and Zelensky?
I'd make a number of points. First of all, I find it hard to believe that Laura Loomer has all the influence that she does in Washington. She has absolutely no credentials. She knows nothing about international politics. She's the last person that Trump should be listening to. But for some reason, he is listening to her. Second point I'd make is that she has Israel lobby written all over her. There's no question about that. And she's gone to great lengths to push forward with Trump policy moves that favor Israel. And for a long time now, and this would be my third point, it's quite clear that she was very sympathetic to Israel and pushing Israel's agenda, but she was not in support of Zelensky. But what's happened is that she's been convinced, probably by people inside the Trump administration, that it makes good sense for her to play nice with Zelensky, as well as with the Israelis and, of course, the Americans. And I think that what we have seen is that she's done this 180-degree turn on Ukraine. But does this really matter? I don't think so. The war in Ukraine is going to be settled on the battlefield. It's really between the Russians on one side and the Ukrainians and the Europeans on the other side. The Americans just don't matter that much. Trump doesn't really care. And plus he's up to his eyeballs in alligators, as you know, in Iran. So the question of what happens in the Ukraine war doesn't matter in terms of Laura Loomer. And in terms of the Middle East, I don't think she matters much there either, because I think the Israel lobby has been exposed. People like Laura Loomer have been exposed, and their influence has been greatly diminished.
And that's true. And that's the thing about they should take her mouthpiece, because if she's going to say stuff like that about a world leader, that's a problem. I mean, that's really a problem when you say something like that on national TV or on a podcast or whatever about taking out president of Russia. I mean, that is not good. And whether or not they all lie to each other all the time. So who's lying to who? I mean, that's all they do. They're all politicians. They all lie. They all lie about every fucking thing all the time. So that's the truth. Stand by.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Breaking news, we coming live tonight. From the headlines to the streets, yeah, the tension's tight. Obama back, now the spotlight's bright. Something shifting in the game, yeah, you feel that vibe. Yeah. Yeah, you feel that vibe. Yeah. From the east to the west, from the Bronx to the south. Voices getting louder, people speaking out. Democrats rising, yeah, they changing the route. Turning pressure into power, that's what it's about. Let me break it down, let me show you the scene. Numbers going up like you never have seen. Every post viral, every miss clean. Talking about democracy and what it means. Former president stepping back in the frame. Millions watching every move, every word, every name. Message going global, now it's spreading like flames. Saying people still got power in the middle of the game. From Europe to America, the pattern is clear. Movements getting stronger, people losing their fear. Every vote matters, every voice you hear. And the energy building as elections draw near. It's the Democratic Report, yeah, we live again. Every city, every state, feel the rise with was real. Obama in the Bronx, now the cameras reveal. Kids in the classroom learning how to feel. Talking about the future and the power to heal. Teachers watching, yeah, the room came alive. Energy rising, you could see it in their eyes. Simple moments, but the meaning goes wide. It's about the next generation and the hope inside. Down in Georgia, yeah, the crowd getting loud. Thousands in the building, voices breaking through clouds. Talking about the system and the weight on the ground. Cost of living rising, people feeling it now. From the prices in stores to the bills every day. People asking questions like who's leading the way. And the tension keeps growing, it ain't fading away. Yeah, the pressure on the system getting bigger each day. Goals keep shifting, yeah, the numbers don't lie. Support going down while the doubts multiply. What was once strong now is starting to slide. Different energy moving through the tide. Global tension, yeah, the conflict's still there. Took a war in the air, people watching with care. Every move calculated, every statement rare, but the outcome unclear, yeah, nobody aware. It's the Democratic report, hear the sound. Every headline shaking up the ground. The cities to the towns all around. Yeah, the narrative shifting right now. Now we here, yeah, it's April again. 7 months to the vote, just to rise before then. Every move, every speech, every play, every plan. Yeah, the fight for the future now is back in demand. Obama stepping in, lot of pressure applied. Democrats pushing forward, got the momentum on their side. But the story ain't finished, yeah, the stakes still high. In the next chapter coming, no one knows what's inside. Breaking news, yeah, we live every day. Stay tuned to the story as it's finding its way. From the streets to the screen, yeah, we bringing the play. It's the Democratic report, we don't fade away. Yeah.
They're getting really good at those Lego videos, man. They're getting good. Well, I don't know what the messaging is on that with Obama in 2024. So I don't know what the messaging is really around that little clip, but I had to do it. I just had to play it. I want to cover something before, just because. So next Saturday, Ty's going to come on, and he's going to have had released Operation 322, Charlie Kirk Operation 322, episode 6, by next week. He's going to release it this coming week, and we're going to talk about it. And a couple things that happened with this whole Charlie Kirk thing has been very interesting. And I just want to cover something, because I think that if people could understand what we're up against with the what do you call it, the deception, and I don't know that it's intentional deception, it's just deception. It's just some of it's propaganda. We talked about it last night. There's a lot of propaganda in there, but there's also deception in the way that people don't realize that they're being that the deception is coming through them because of what they believe or don't believe, or they see or they don't see. And the two-shot theory is the one that makes the most sense because of the neck cavitation that happens in Charlie. If you see the shot of Charlie when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you see the shot. When you slow it down, okay, and I just want to break this down for you. When you slow it down to I don't know, 5,000 frames or whatever it is, really slow, you see Charlie Kirk's neck go like this. It's just a split second. It swells up, and his neck goes, and he goes down, and then he goes back. And so when he's shot in the back of the head on the right side behind his ear, kind of up on his, and it goes in the back of his head. Just think about this. And then it goes right down his neck and comes out the front part of his neck. Okay. Now there's no 30-06. There's no shards, doing that. If you take the ballistic gel theory that they remember back in 10 months ago, everybody was going out to the range or out on their property, and they were shooting these ballistic gels, and they were slowing it down. And when the bullet goes in to the ballistic gel, for a split second, it does that. It opens up, it gets big for a second and then closes down, and then it explodes or whatever it's doing, right? Now, there's no way that Charlie Kirk was shot in the front of the neck for that whole thing to happen. And that's what we were talking about. We talked about it last night, and I just want to be clear on why I believe that this is the theory that makes the most sense. And if we could get to the part where it makes sense, then we could trace it from there backwards. But when we're still trying to figure out where he was shot at and how that was done, because the government and Utah, nobody's going to tell us the truth. I don't believe that'll even come out in like court documents. I think that this is such a cover up. The whole thing is such a cover up. I mean, a major cover up, that nobody's going to get the truth unless we get the truth out now. And so he shot this way down from above the roof. I'm going to show you in a minute. From above the roof like this, and it goes down, because remember the medical examiner, they didn't do an autopsy in Utah, but the medical examiner said that his from 7 to 4 7 through 4 were shattered, or whatever they called it. They use the medical term for it. And there's no way to get shot here and it take out all your C's, your C of the spine, your neck. It's all your neck bones. Clavicle, I think is what it's called. Clavicles. I don't know what it is. I could be wrong about that, but the C7 down, I think, to 4 shattered. And it comes out here in the front. Okay. And that's why you've seen the blood come out, because when you get shot, take it from somebody that knows, when you get shot, the entry wound only leaks after 5 seconds, right? It don't explode unless it there's no way, right? So I'm just trying to wrap this around for people to understand what's going on. And so he's shot here. He goes down like this. If you look at it slow motion, his neck goes like this from pushing down on his down. Then he gets hit in the chest. Okay. And in this video, he shows the infrared beam, because he was shot from a drone with infrared beam. And I believe that when you look at all the things that was going on with the SD card, the people on their cell phones, and by the way, people's networks were down. Okay. That's another thing that they talked about. Like, they talked about it for a second and then they didn't talk about it anymore. People's networks on their phones were down because they had that plane had a jammer. Okay. They had jammers that jammed the cell phone reception. So people that's why it was grainy. And, a lot of people couldn't get good video. There was some bunch of video and it was like spotty and all that stuff because they jammed the internet or whatever it's called. So I'm going to play this video. And, but before I do, I want to show you something. If I can get this pulled up here. Being stubborn. Just give me a second here. It was being a little stubborn. I got it though. Okay. All right. This is called the Bird of Prey drone by Ebbett Systems. Okay. Now, this is a model, one model. This model's from 2023. This model's from 2023. We're in 2026. So that means that this whole frame is probably half the size. I don't know for sure, but this is a 2023 model. And this is a rifle on a drone. Okay. And this particular rifle has different attachments for it to 308, 765, so forth and so on. They have different attachments, rifle attachments for this particular rifle that's on this drone. Okay. That was dispatched from the plane that dropped down below 200 feet, 115 knots, 3 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And then mysteriously, 25 minutes after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that same plane coming from the opposite direction, tail number N1098L, they're calling it Axel 10 was the call sign, dropped down after the shot was taken, 25 minutes down to 100, 100 something knots again, and then took off. Didn't stop in Orem, or didn't stop in Provo either time. Matter of fact, when there was some communication that was picked up from the tower, and they asked why they didn't land 3 hours before Charlie Kirk's assassination, and what they said was called a missed landing. Okay, so that's the Bird of Prey drone. Okay, just wanted to show you that. Okay, wanted you to see that. That's what that looks like. The Bird of Prey drone. Okay, now I'm going to play this first. Stand by.
Military stuff coming out of Israel. This is not some duct taped Ukrainian flying AK-47. This is integrated with the rest of their stuff. And that's what I think makes it, so compelling, so unique. So I think that what happened at UVU is that one of these was about 350, 400 yards out, maybe 500 yards out. And I think that's what took the shot. And I think that the other UAVs were doing the targeting, doing the jamming, right? We know that the live signals were jammed. And I think that's what this is all about. I think this was the unit that was way in the back. This is the one that takes the shot. Nobody really sees this. And if it's suppressed, when it fires the round, nobody's going to say anything. And then is it the spent round from this unit that took the shot that was found on the rooftop of the science building? Hypothetically speaking. I'm John Cohen. Thanks for joining. And if you're not a patron, please consider joining at patreon.com/I am John Cohen.
Charlie Kirk assassination in 5 minutes or less. I want you to see the 3 points of contact from this high-speed laser that they use, this infrared beam, and show you how it hit basically the back of Charlie Kirk's head and took him up out of here. Look, we'll see a little bit lighter on this one. Boom, that's exactly where it hit. And then you'll see the shirt popped back right there. So it lets you know that there's some activity that's happening to the body. And this is downward neck cavitation. So the round came down like that and came out the front part of his neck. And the shirt popped back right here. So when you see everybody showing that graphic of his shirt pop back, absolutely, because it's the downward neck cavitation from the pressurization to the body. It's that simple to understand. You can even kind of see it a little bit right there. See that right there? That's the shot actually entering, or where the shot actually entered into Charlie. Right there, causing this effect to the shirt. It's a poofing up at the shirt, poofing up of the shirt at the top. So here I put them kind of side by side so you can see it a little bit better. The 3 points of contact, once it actually, this infrared beam was going by, this is high speed technology that we're looking at. Okay. It's very, very high speed technology and very high tech technology. So it's the cream of the crop, as they would say. And that's exactly how Charlie Kirk was taken out of here. If there was no infrared technology that was used to kill Charlie Kirk, then this wouldn't be on the back of Charlie Kirk's head. By the time that this beam hit the back of his head, this shirt popped out right here. Charlie Kirk was technically already dead. A lot of people didn't know that. Like this was an instant death kind of thing. This is the angle that they hit him from right here. The tent was raised that day. Charlie set up on a platform so that the shot could be actually possible because he was on the platform, and the tent was raised around him so that there would be enough clearing for the head and neck space to be seen. And here goes another video, just real quick, showing you what it looks like when a palm pistol is fired. Look at that right between his fingers. Do it again just to show you. Look at this. Boom. Very subtle. Quick frame. See that? Just a little frame. But this is what you expect to see when a small pinfire pistol is being fired, okay? And this is the reaction of the girl that was standing right next to him. Boom. She's looking down at her phone. She doesn't know anything about anything. She looks right up at Rick Cutler. She looks in the sky, okay? And then she looks at Charlie Kirk. So this is very, very telling of, and this is the damage that was actually done afterwards, is the pinfire palm pistol hit Charlie while his shirt was poofed up from the first shot, and it exited out of his back. You can see the pressurization of the hole, and it went right through Charlie. About a 2 millimeter sized round, basically a BB with gunpowder attached to it. Pinfire palm pistol, very, very, very small weapon, a very small weapon. So I cover a lot of this stuff on Charlie Kirk Operation 322 in my investigation. I'm doing a part 6 right now. So it's a 5-part series. It's 8 hours long. I would just, advise for you to at least watch parts 4 and 5. But you're going to find out a lot of information about the esoteric connections around Charlie Kirk and what he was involved in, the fact that he was a government employee, his contract with TikTok and Chinese, and it's his security clearance. And there's so much that people don't talk about, and I actually do talk about in my series, and I show you Israel's bird of prey drone. It can even be seen leaving the site after the shot. So go watch my information and you can see all of this. This is information they don't want to tell you about. I'm the scariest guy out there when it comes to this stuff because nobody wants to deal with it because it's truth, right? This is stuff that is really hard to swallow because it means everything that they told you is a lie. And it is. Every single thing that they told you is a lie. This is reality right here, what you see happening in front of you right now. Look at that. That shirt moves right there. You can see that indentation right there, the initial indentation in the head. It's right here. It's literally right here. You don't have to look far for it. Shirt moves. There's the infrared beam on the back of the head. Okay. And then there you go. High-tech infrared beam there. But when you really want the answer, she tells you everything you need to know. When she looked up from that cell phone and looked at Rick Cutler and then looked up in the sky and then looked at Charlie Kirk, that's everything that you needed to know. That is everything that you needed to know. All right. So with that being said, until the next time, guys, stay alert, stay alive. Here's the truth.
All right. So that's the shot, the 2-shot theory. Now, and I wanted to show you the drone from John Cohen and he's saying that he was shot from 500 feet. That's impossible. I mean, I love his work. John Cohen does great work. He did really good work with the Butler shooting and the Las Vegas shooting. He did very good work with that. This one, I think he's a little off. The reason why I think he's off is because it's an exit wound, not an entry wound. And even from 500 feet, 500 yards, whatever, it's still not the right. I mean, his neck was totally tore up from the shot. Okay. And now Candace said, now check this out. Candace says that she had a dream. And if you're not on Zeolite, my masterpiece, this stuff helps you dream. Okay. It's about $1 a day. It's on my website. It's in the description. The first one in the description, get masterpiece. It's $1, about $1 a day or so, something like that. And I started taking this, and after 2 weeks of taking this, my dreams became vivid again. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk. I said that to say this. Talked about the masterpiece to say this. Candace said that she had a dream after Charlie Kirk's assassination. And in the dream, and you know, you can either believe this or not. It's up to you what you want to believe, what you don't want to believe. But what she said was it was on the left. Okay, on the left. And now I'm going to show you a video of on the left where now when the shot was taken, there's a cameraman, and I'm gonna just kind of break it down for you. There's a cameraman in the crowd, and he's taking pictures of, he's taking pictures, and just before the shot, he's down, he's looking down, and he's getting a signal, and he right when the shot when the palm pistol guy takes a shot, he takes a picture of him, right? I'm gonna show you right now. But these are the things that is going to be coming out in the next series, by the way. All these breakdowns of all these things that keep being, because this is crowdsourced. All this material is all stuff that we all put it on the internet. We put all this stuff on the internet, and everybody's dissecting it, looking at it, and figuring it out, and going through this, going through that. And that's why we've gotten to all the different things that we've come up with is the crowdsourcing. This is, it's all crowdsourcing. But check this out. Just watch the circles and watch the reaction, and just pay attention to Charlie's left.
Charlie said to me, I don't have much time. He followed that up explaining to me that I needed to see what happened on his left. And he told me explicitly, they betrayed me, multiple people. And I said, I know, but who?
You're just a citizen, and you're still on the leash. It doesn't keep up the bomb, keep up the cans, keep up the wall. Keep up the rest, keep up the things, giving them more. Stay silent, stay violent, stay plugged in and divided. Cool down, let's get rid of the cash. Digital ID, and let's turn on the top. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Anderson, they want us just before they do it in the movies. Billy Gates, he makes a profit off disease. Rise of all the pounds of pay is what we eat. And the rise of our shooting in the league. So they killed Charlie and they killed Molly, both the Kennedys and Maryland. They killed Diana and they killed Jackson. We are the legacy. This is their anthem. Stay silent, stay violent, stay united. Bombs drop from heaven just like rain. God, you're all through the mud, well done, you. When the altar and a ballot and a barrel shouldn't mean. Cleanse the country, kill the children, Mr. Baby, how do you sleep? This isn't a Hollywood dream. All the strings are on the thread. Burn our souls to power the machine. All the strings are on the thread. Left no spirit. Strings are on the thread. Wolf in a world full of sheep. Puppet strings around the thread.
Black Rock, Starma, Astro Blaster. Palantir watches like horse, and BlackRock is back to his core. Funding the digital war. Starma like Lewis and Tor. Be a good civilian while the folks on the field. Keep up the pawn, keep up the cans, keep up the wall. Keep up the revs, keep up the things, giving them more. Stay silent, stay violent, stay plugged in and divided.
Oh, clear shot right there. Clear shot to cut. Charlie Kirk. It only takes 2 seconds. Clear shot.
Strings around the thread. This is an earlier dream. Puppet strings around the thread.
Boom. Clear shot right there. Clear shot to cut. Charlie Kirk. It only takes 2 seconds. Clear shot.
We have to fight back.
Once you perceive what lies beneath the surface, once you glimpse the truth behind the polite illusion, you are faced with a terrible choice. Do you speak or do you remain silent? If you speak, you disturb the dream. If you stay silent, you disturb your soul. This is not a simple dilemma. It's an ancient tension between truth and belonging, between authenticity and acceptance. When you speak, when you dare to name what others deny, you risk being cast out, and not always gently.
Give you a second to read it. If you want to read this, this is a synopsis. The esoteric military world, Charlie Kirk ritual assassination marked the first casualty in section 219. By the way, that hasn't been passed yet, but it's at the Senate right now to be passed for Israel to have access to our military secrets. That was that part, and the first global win of the Epstein class, and check out his Substack. We're not going to Mars official Substack. Check that out, and check out 322 series. It's called Charlie Kirk Operation 322 series. And anyway, so it's Ty Norman's work. He was on the show last night. You want to check him out? Check out that show. We broke down a bunch of stuff. I don't know which one it is, but let me pull myself back up. I don't know which one it is, but I do have the. By the way, there was 12 Israel cell phones on the grounds at UVU that they don't talk about at all. What's this, John? Is this what you brought me? Oh, that's the wrong one. It's the white one. It's okay. But anyway, we're gonna get more into this on next Saturday. We're gonna do a full show on series number 6, or I guess it's episode number 6. We'll get into all this, and we're gonna break it all down. We're gonna have a full on show and break everything down so you can see every little thing that happened, because there's skeptics, and you should be skeptic. You should ask questions. Everybody should ask questions constantly about all this stuff until there is a for sure absolute till theory is absolute. Okay. And I'm pretty clear that this is what happened. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the reason why some people aren't talking about it is because they can't. So I'm not bought off, or I'm not paid by, or I'm not monetized. I don't have none of that stuff going on. So I'm just going to do this because I think it's important that we get to the bottom of all this corruption, all this shit that's going on. I just think that we should. So anyway, I'm going to say thank you for being here tonight. God bless you all. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out website, inspectorweb.com, and buy some supplements, buy some zeolite, buy some restorable food. There's a badass t-shirt on there. Let me pull that up real quick for you so you can see what it looks like. I'm horrible at plugging my stuff, so this is the new t-shirt. It's $29.99, and let me pull it up here. It's pretty sick. We're selling these on the store right now. Go in there, buy a shirt, buy some My Masterpiece, buy some restorable food, get yourself prepared, subscribe to the channel, share this content everywhere, please, and support us. We're grinding, man. We're doing everything we possibly can while having a full-time job and raising children. I got a wife, and we have we do a bunch of stuff in the community. We're just busy, but this is important to me. This right here is very important to me. So, because why is this important to me? The reason why this work is so important to me is because I want my children to have something of a life that we're not going to be able to give them if we don't do something about this. If this stuff doesn't, Epstein class, the assassination, Charlie Kirk, all these things, all these things that are happening, gas is $5.25, or I guess it's $5.50 again in California, regular gas, 87 octane, $5.50 here, $5.40, it's right. It bounces around from like $5.15 to $5.50, for, cheap gas, not Chevron's $6, $6.25. But anyway, buy a shirt. Anyway, the reason why I do this stuff, why do I do it? I do this because I want to leave a legacy behind for my children. I want them to have opportunity, and they don't have opportunity if our economy's crashed, and there's no food, and everybody's in starvation, and there's illegal aliens running people's houses over and all that stuff. It just doesn't work. Like, we need to restore the United States. We need to restore the world. Really, we do. Really do. Well, my job is to make sure that America stays America, and that's what I do here. And so anyway, enough of that. God bless you all. We will see you Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday. God bless you again, and please share this information everywhere, and we'll see you. Don't forget, next Saturday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll have a big show. 8 o'clock next Saturday, we're going to have Ty back on, and we're going to break down Charlie Kirk, what's it called, Operation 322, Episode 6. All right, God bless you all. I know I'm rambling. Thank you for being here. Good night.